vote we take today, the topic, or even a copy of those in your delegate information. If there are no objections to the standing rules as printed, they will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the standing rules of the House, recognize Mike 2.
I would like to change the debate time from 20 minutes down to 10 and the call to question from 10 to 5. My name is Jennifer Harnett, International Trustee. Madam President, my name is Jennifer Harnett, International Trustee. I would like to change the debate time from 20 minutes to 10 minutes and the call to question time from 10 minutes to 5 minutes.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Recognize this microphone 1.
Hi, Joyce Roos, CNH District. May I just ask why the debate time should be
Please
lower?
direct the chair when, address the chair when asking the question.
Madam President, may I ask why the debate time should, or what is the justification behind lowering the debate time from 20 to 10 minutes?
Point of information, Madam Chairwoman, Madam President, I want to change the debate time down because it can always be extended, but if it's originally 10 for the call to question, then we have to wait 10 minutes to vote, and then the 20-minute discussion, I don't think it's necessary, and we can, again, always extend it if necessary.
Any further discussion? All right, so the changes proposed to the House rules would be debate time from 20 minutes to 10 minutes maximum, and time limit before calling the question would be from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. All right, we will be using the voting devices for this, so please look at your voting devices. Please vote 1 for in favor of these changes, vote 2 for against. Vote now. It is a simple majority to adopt this amendment. It is a 2/3 majority to adopt this as a whole. The amendment is adopted. We are back on the standing rules. All right, we will now be voting on the keypad again to adopt the standing rules. Please wait until it's on screen nicely. You will be selecting 1 for in favor and 2 for opposed to adopt the standing rules as amended. Vote now. The poll has closed. The results are in. The rules are adopted. Our records show that we have 564 delegates in the House today, which fulfills the requirement for a quorum. All amendments require a 2/3 vote to adopt, and the amendments passed here today will be presented to the Kiwanis Youth Programs Board of Trustees for final approval. As I'm sure you've noticed, we have 29 amendments this year plus a resolution. Many of them involve housekeeping changes that we think are not controversial. It could take hours to consider all 30 items individually, so we would like to try a different method of conducting business this year, something called a content calendar, where the House of Delegates will vote on a group of amendments, in this case, that is amendments 1 through 24 in one block, hopefully with no debate on them. But let me explain a little bit more. The process is very simple. I will introduce each amendment with a very brief summary. After I've summarized all 24, a board member will move that we consider amendments 1 through 24 as a consent calendar, and they will be adopted together as a group without debate and without a formal vote. But this next point is important. As I am summarizing each amendment, if there is one that you would like to speak against, the opportunity to remove any from the consent block will be presented to the House 3 times during the summary process, once every 10 amendments. You will need to go to a microphone, state your name and club, and ask that the specific amendment to be removed from the block. It's that simple. You just go to the microphone and only ask for removal. Every delegate has that right. No second needed and no explanation necessary. After all extractions are made from the block, the chair will announce that the remaining amendments are adopted. No vote is needed since anyone who objects to or wants to vote against any of the amendments in the block should have asked that they be removed. The amendments that are not removed from the block and thus adopted without debate and without a vote. Any amendments that were removed from the consent calendar are then considered individually in their original sequence. In other words, they are back on their regular agenda for debate, will be considered when their number is reached. To be clear, we will definitely consider amendments 25 to 29 individually, plus the resolution on the Key Club pledge. Are there any questions about how this process works? Please approach the microphone. The chair recognizes microphone 2.
Justin Martinez, RHS, Key Club. Will we vote on the block once we remove all the ones that we want to remove?
In this case, in the consent calendar, no.
Okay, thank you. Boston Maine, Alabama District. I move to remove bylaw amendment number 2 and bylaw amendment number 6 from the block.
We will be doing that as we go through with the consent calendar. So after amendments 1 through 10, we will go through 1 through 10 and see if any one of them need to be removed. Then 11 through 20, then 21 through 24.
Thank you.
Yes. Are there any other questions on how this process works? Hearing no more questions, let's proceed. We'll start by introducing all of the items in the consent calendar, that is, in the block to be adopted together. Amendments 1 through 24 are presented by the Key Club International Board, so I will not repeat the presenter information for each item. We will have a board member move all of them in one motion after I summarize each one and the appropriate ones are taken out. Amendment 1 would amend Article 12, Section 1 to modernize the method for sending notice about Key Club International Board meetings. Amendment 2 would amend Article 12 by adding a new Section 3 to allow clubs to charge dues that are less than the amount of Key Club International dues. Please wait until Amendment 10. Yes.
One clarification, Rob Whitten, former Florida District Board member. At this point, does Amendment 2 forbid all districts to charge dues?
Amendment 2
Point of
states...
information, Madam Chairwoman.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Point of information, I'm going to give information here.
I recognize my 2.
Los Angeles International Trustee, no, this is a new section below the district.
Thank you.
District dues.
Amendment 3 would amend Article 9, Section 4 to require that areas that wish to become a district must first form a district board. Amendment 4 would amend Article 2, Section 1 to clarify what is meant by the Golden Rule. There is a format change on that amendment which will be displayed on the screen now. There was a misprint in the booklet given out. Amendment 5 would include non-districted clubs in association of Key Club and provide better wording. Amendment 6 would amend Article 5, Section 2 to remove the conflict with Section 3, providing that the school principal and/or faculty advisor shall have certain duties. Amendment 7 would amend Article 7, Section 3 to clarify the obligations and processes of a club that wants to resign its charter and not be in Key Club anymore. Amendment 8 would amend Article 7, Section 5. There's a correction on this one as well. The last sentence that you see in Amendment 8 already exists in Section 5. The intention was to remove it here because the information is already covered in Section 2 of the same article. It is accidentally shown as an addition. The intention is for the sentence to be removed. That format change will be found on here. It was misprinted in the books. Amendment 9 would amend Article 8, Section 4 to update and modernize language regarding gender. Amendment 10 would amend Article 8, Section 4 to update terminology. The style guidelines for major publications now allow the generic terms they and theirs to be properly used in place of him, her, or his, hers. I've introduced the first 10 amendments. Is there anyone that opposes any of these items so far and wants to take them out of the block? If so, go to the microphone, state your name and club, and only announce which amendment you want to be removed from the consent calendar. Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Joseph Martinez, RHS. I would like to remove Amendment 2
Thank
from the
you.
block.
Eloise Belanges, Immediate Past Division 19 South Lieutenant Governors, California, Nevada, Hawaii District. I ask to remove Amendment 6.
Would anyone else like to remove any amendments discussed thus far from the consent calendar? All right, we will move on. Amendment 11 would amend Article 8, Section 7 to clarify that existing language to reflect that not all clubs are chartered in schools. Amendment 12 would amend Article 9, Section 1, also to clarify the existing language to refer to non-districted clubs rather than regional associations. Amendment 13 would amend Article 9, Section 2 to allow key club divisions to exist separately from Kiwanis divisions. It removes approval of key club divisions by the Kiwanis District Board, which is currently necessary. Amendment 14 would amend Article 9, Section 9 to adjust the way committees are formed to match traditional processes. Amendment 15 would amend Article 11, Section 8 to remove reference to the key club movement, which is not referenced anywhere else in the guidebook. Amendment 16 would amend Article 12, Section 2 to adjust the language regarding the effective date for votes taken by the Key Club International Board without an in-person meeting. There is also a format change on this one. It was misprinted in the books. You can find the correct format up here. Amendment 17 would amend Article 12, Section 3 to allow the Key Club International President to call an electronic meeting of the board with the approval of the International Director. Amendment 18 would amend Article 15, Section 1 to update and clarify the language regarding district convention delegates for clubs in good standing. This provision does not apply to clubs in non-district areas since they do not have districted conventions. Amendment 19 would amend Article 15, Section 2 to remove an unnecessary barrier for potential club delegates. The lead time for club selection of delegates has been reduced from 60 days to the district convention to 24 hours prior. Amendment 20 would amend Article 17, Section 9 to allow new forms of elections voting to be used at the Key Club International Convention. These could be by any means approved by the Key Club International Committee on Elections and the International Director. I've just introduced the next 10 items of business. Is there anyone that opposes any of these items so far and wants them to be removed from the block?
Diego Andrade says in I would like to remove amendment number 13.
You said 13, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Erica Swirsky, immediate past District Governor of New York. I'd like to remove Amendment 16.
Are there any other amendments to be removed from the consent block in this chunk? And seeing none, we'll move on. Amendment 21 would amend Article 18, Section 3 to allow the district governor whose trustee was either removed or resigned to have say in the selection process of their new trustee. Amendment 22 would amend Article 18, Section 4 to clarify the language regarding filling a vacancy in the office of district governor. Amendment 23 would amend Article 19, Section 2 to add the Kiwanis International Board Counselor to Key Club International as a non-voting member of Key Club's Executive Committee. This would match current practice. Amendment 24 would amend Article 19, Section 3 to allow new committee structures to be considered while protecting the right to serve. Each Key Club board member must serve on at least one standing committee who may serve on others as approved by the International Director. I've just introduced the last 4 items of business that are part of this consent block. Is there anyone that opposes amendments 21 to 24 and wants them to be removed from the block vote for approval? If so, go to the microphone and say so. State your club and only announce which amendment you want to be removed from the consent block.
Abby Dirksen, Texas Oklahoma District, Indian House District Governor. We would like to remove amendments 22 and 27 from the consent block.
27 is not in the consent block.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what I see. Please minimize side conversations. As of right now, the current amendments will be removed from the consent block from amendments 1 to 24. Amendment 2, 6, 13, 16, and 22. Are there any other amendments to remove from the consent block? A board member will now move adoption of all amendments in the block.
Madam President, I, Foster Bliss, International Trustee, move for the calendar excluding amendments 2, 6, 13, 16, and 20.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that bylaw amendments 1 through 24, excluding certain removals, be considered as a consent calendar. It has been moved and seconded. As I explained at the beginning of the process, the block vote is not to have debate on those amendments because everyone presumably agrees with them. Therefore, I declare that amendments 1 through 24, excluding exemptions, are adopted. Thank you. We will now proceed with consideration of all remaining bylaw amendments in numerical order with normal debate and voting. Amendment 25 is submitted by the Keep International Board. Excuse me. We will start with Amendment 2. Is there a motion to pass to start discussion? Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Madam President, Jonathan Harden, International Trustee, so move.
Is there a second? Any discussion?
Yes.
Chair recognizes microphone 2.
My name is Boston Lane, from the Key Level of City Hills High School. I'm serving as a district secretary for the Alabama district.
Excuse me, can you move closer to the microphone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Boston Lane from the Alabama district moved to amend bylaw amendment number 2 by striking the last sentence and replacing it with the following text. Additional club fees or assessments of clubs may be charged as approved by the club's board of directors.
That amendment must be in writing before it is introduced. Is it in writing?
Yes, it is. As submitted to Grant Showers.
Please approach the table to submit it.
I already submitted that.
Excuse me, please minimize side conversations. May we have that on the screen? Can we please stop the clock for discussion? Technical difficulties start at 8:42. Thank you. You can now see the proposed amendment on the screen. Recognizes my cue.
Point of information. Robbie Whitten, a Florida District immediate past board member. Can we clarify which mic is pro and which mic is con?
Microphone number 1 will be the pro mic. Microphone number 2 will be the con mic. Thank you. Thank you. We will now continue discussion. Chair recognizes microphone 1.
On behalf of my district board, the Alabama district, and many key clubs in special circumstances, I would like to talk about bylaw amendment number 2. In its current form, the last sentence reads, there shall be no other mandatory club fees or assessments of clubs. This phrasing restricts the club dues component to only $7, and in addition to other reasons I'll provide, I propose the aforementioned amendment. Let me first provide some context. Many clubs' dues and fees are not the same. Club dues cover administrative costs, such as transportation, the buying of certificates and pins, sponsor ceremonies, etc. Club fees, on the other hand, financially facilitate service projects, such as buying supplies for a car wash or candy for daily fundraising. It also covers costs for district and metro preparation, such as table decorations. Now I'll break down the proposed line of text. Quote, additional club fees or assessments of clubs, end quote, refers to the club fees that facilitate the service projects that keep us universally known for engaging in. The rest of the text, quote, may be charged as approved by the club's board of directors, end quote, is basically bylaw jargon for saying, with the approval of club officers. Now to describe some possible repercussions of not amending this. My district raises several thousands of dollars for a district project partner, a Charles Medical Mental Hospital, 2 key clubs that include a district project security component and the club assessments. With the passage of this amendment, without passing this amendment, children in medical need will receive lower quality care, pediatricians will be less trained, and key clubs will preemptively do something to harm children. Now, on autonomy, key clubs is founded on student service leadership.
Order. You can continue.
Thus, key clubs thrives on autonomy. The proposed ordinance represents organizational interference and the feedback, in the opinion of many, may fall under circumstances unforeseen by governing bodies several hierarchical notches above local key clubs. There is one final reason I'd like to provide. The key clubs in special circumstances out there. My district is a rural state and has many key clubs that cannot function for a whole year with only $100 or so collected from club dues and club fees, as does literally every other district. My key club, with only 30 members, spent many hundreds of dollars just this past year funding service projects, and we did a lot of great work. I want you to realize that in its current form...
Time. Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Point of order, Robbie Whitten, Florida District immediate past district board member. In Rule 15, we state that a member of the Sergeant at Arms Committee shall be positioned at each mic. Can we please have this happen?
You know.
What is this?
Very process of making that happen. Thank you.
Hello.
Chair recognizes microphone 2 again.
Point of clarification, Aiden Bash, Montana District. Why do the current bylaws restrict additional fees?
Point of information. Also, as international trustee, this is a new amendment. This is not a current, or this is a new amendment, excuse me. This is not an archival yet, so we're not restricting this.
Please remember, we are talking about the amendment to the amendment right now. The discussion should pertain to that. Chair recognizes microphone 1.
Madam President, my name is Joseph Martinez. I'm from RHS Key Club. And going along with what Mason said, a lot of the necessary, especially our club, one example that we use is our t-shirts. And that's a great incentive to bring in more key clubbers, because not only are they paying club dues, which are benefiting the club, the district international, but also providing incentive to join the club itself. We provide t-shirts, which is a good way to advertise Key Club throughout the school, even after people join Key Club. Thank you.
Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Madam President, Jennifer Harnett, International Trustee. I had a similar concern about t-shirts with clubs, but technically if you're buying a t-shirt, that's not necessarily a club fee. You're not collecting the money to eventually be used to it. It could be like symbolized as a transaction and not necessarily a club fee or a club due, so it would not be an issue. Furthermore, what we were talking about earlier with needing money to run service projects, that is, I mean, I don't personally believe that it should be mandatory for the members to have to pay for the service projects. There are fundraisers and other ways that you can facilitate that by extending, with this amendment, by limiting the amount that the club can charge their members. It prohibits discrimination against lower income students. Thank you.
Chair recognizing microphone 1.
I motion to have my speaking time extended by 5 minutes or 2 minutes.
Discussion time or your personal speaking time?
Speaking time here at the mic.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Speaking time at the mic, whichever category that falls under.
You have time, you can go. It resets and you come back up.
Okay.
And it's not yet expired, yes.
I want you to realize that in its current form, bylaw number 2 restricts the service that Key Club can provide. The bylaws can't and will never be able to tell if a Key Club can actually afford to charge less than $7. If you want all Key Clubbers to be able to serve us, you would vote for this amendment. And if you don't for whatever reason, then you have a right to abstain from the vote. And just a couple days ago, on the 4th of July, you watched the beautiful fireworks representing the hard-fought freedom in our country. Key Clubs deserve just the same. And now to address the opposing mic, I believe it was Jennifer. I go to a school where I know.
Madam President, Hannah Navarre, current International Vice President, Delegates Key Club, New Jersey District. For the club fee, would that include a t-shirt so that it is mandatory for a student to pay for a t-shirt in order to join the club?
May I answer?
I don't believe t-shirts are counted in the fees, so they are counted in the fees. If that answers your question.
Are the fees mandatory?
So this amendment is actually on that, and I was actually about to allow our.
What's the question?
Madam President, I would not like personal beliefs, I would like the statement.
Order.
I spoke to a very highly educated gentleman on this matter. It's one of the gentlemen on the stage up there about this matter, and he told me that club or t-shirt dues are included in the fees and not the dues.
That's incorrect.
Mandatory, Madam President.
We cannot be going into back and forth with question and answer, and we have ran out of time for debate. If you'd like, we can make a motion to extend.
I motion to extend the debate time by 5 minutes.
Order. Please address the chair and state your name and home club.
My name is Boston Dane from the Key Club of the City Falls High School, and I'm motion to extend the debate time by 5 minutes.
Is there a second? Order. We are voting on whether or not to extend time by 5 minutes. We will vote with the keypad since a 2/3 majority is needed. Does anyone need more time?
No. I think we hold off on that one.
The poll has closed. It has been extended by 5 minutes.
It just made it.
The chair recognizes microphone 1.
Are the sergeant at arms allowed to leave their post to go to the opposite microphone?
A point of information is to get information. A point of clarification is to ask for information.
Point of clarification.
A point of information is to ask a question, to ask for information. There are no such things as points of clarification. We've been a little bit
Please keep in mind to minimize side conversations as we are tight on schedule. Thank you. Chair recognizes microphone 1. You have 1 more minute. Not for debate, to speak individually.
Is this woman remaining for my 5 minutes?
Can you say that one more time, please?
Is this woman remaining for my 5 minutes speaking time?
You have 1 more minute for your personal time to speak.
Okay, thank you. So to address your question, schools will be situationally aware of if their clubs can afford to charge fees. So again, I'm from Alabama. I live in a district that has key clubs that know that not all their members can actually afford the full, whatever the fees may be. But I go to a school that has lots of people that are actually able to pay the full $40. That's actually a club fees, and we've been able to do amazing things for that.
Okay, I'm not paying $40 to do this.
If someone is unable to get their fees, then they can go up to the office advisor and ask for the exempt their dues. But as I've seen, we have been able to do amazing things from our key club, from the dues we charge.
Time. Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Point of information, Hannah Law, International Vice President. Madam Chairperson, is it mandatory for the students to pay the club fees all around? Because we have to buy the guidebook. People can't just talk to the advisor in order to be exempt from the guidebook.
Greg Sauer, may I answer that question?
The question, please.
Would it be mandatory for the club members to pay these fees? And they include additional items? Would it be mandatory for students to pay these additional fees for additional materials?
No, it wouldn't be.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Diego Andrade's IP, Distinguished Lieutenant Governor. I would like to, I'm really rise. The amendment to the amendment is not necessary, as the original amendment does allow clubs to charge at most $7.50. This amendment to the amendment would allow the clubs to charge exponential club dues, which I believe should not be allowed because the socioeconomic status of our key club members cannot be determined by individual clubs, and we should not require club members to have to talk about their socioeconomic statuses. And mandatory club dues should not be allowed. And this is because every member has, in order to be more inclusive, we have to make sure that every member is recognized, and by allowing clubs to increase their dues as much as possible while keeping the mandatory.
The individual at microphone 1, you must step at the back and wait until everyone else is done speaking until you have another turn. The chair recognizes microphone 1.
Again, this amendment to the amendment.
Excuse me.
Point of information,
Joshua Black is on this one.
Yes, recognize microphone two.
Joshua Black, Lieutenant Governor, Capital District. What exactly do dues pay for in the international level? Can you clarify exactly what that's supposed to go to?
That question will be repeated for Greg Scott.
I think that the pieces that are encompassed with dues, so that'd be a very convoluted thing to speak about in terms of specific.
I apologize to the individual microphone one. I did not realize you had spoken before, so Chair recognizes microphone two.
I'm Harrison, immediate past Texas Oklahoma District Governor. This proposed amendment does come from a good place. I will recognize that. However, all club fees should not be mandatory for your own argument. All fees and club assessments can be approved, but this is saying that the only mandatory fees charged to club members will be dues, which is what we should do as an organization. External fees have to be optional because they do not go directly towards who we are and our function as business, as an organization.
Please keep in mind when you address the chair that entails of saying the name, looking at the chair, and refraining from using second-person pronouns as much as possible, unless referring to the chair. Thank you. The 5 minutes has expired. Does anyone move to extend debate?
To extend debate. Joseph Martinez, RHS, RZ District. I would to extend debate by 5 minutes.
No.
Is there a second?
I second. No, don't second it.
Madam Chair.
Oh.
All right, there's a second. We will vote using our keypads. The polls have closed. Order. The debate has been closed. We are voting to strike or to propose on the amendment as written up here. This requires a simple majority. The debate is closed. We will vote in a moment. Please look at your voting devices and vote now.
Simple majority is 50% plus 1. So, like, no, that's like kind of easier. Okay.
Poll is closed. The amendment is not adopted. Debate time on amendment 2 has expired, so we will now go on and vote to amendment 2 as written shortened. The polls have closed. Yes. The amendment is adopted. We will now be moving on to amendment number 6. There's been a motion to adopt the amendment. Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Ronnie Whitten, former Florida District Board Member, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Chair recognizes mic 2.
My name is Nadia Nasser. I'm the district treasurer of the Michigan district. And my question is, where does the sponsoring Kiwanis Club play a part? The problem with this is, not all school advisors and principals are involved with their key club. And that's where the sponsoring Kiwanis Club comes in. One of the responsibilities of Kiwanis is to show up to our meetings and to encourage us, when we need it most. Can we honestly say that all principals and faculty advisors support our key clubs? Or are you really the ones that don't support us as much as Kiwanis clubs and shed a light on our amazing accomplishments? My bad. Principals and faculty advisors aren't as invested in us as much as our Kiwanis clubs are in our lives.
So this is amendment 6.
Chair recognizes microphone 1.
My name is Boston Maine, I'm the key club of the state of High School. And this is the combine, correct?
No, that is the promo.
Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Eloise Galandis, immediate past Division 19 South Lieutenant Governor, California, Nevada, Hawaii District. Point of information, in the circumstances of a community club where a faculty advisor and principal are non-existent, and with the clause of sponsoring organizations being able to determine the number of charter members of the club being removed, who decides the number of charter members and has full authority over the club?
Please talk slower and come closer to the microphone that is requested to all delegates. Can you please repeat your question?
Yes. In the circumstances of a community club where a faculty advisor and principal are non-existent, and with the clause of sponsoring organizations being able to determine the number of charter members and the club being removed, who decides the number of charter members and has full authority over the club?
That question was Greg's house.
A club-specific piece. The general club would have to decide what those charter members would be.
Chair recognizes microphone 1.
Madam President, starting before the district governor. Personally serving as lieutenant governor last year, I had to work with 5 orphan clubs, which means that those clubs did not have a sponsor in Kiwanis Club. So this amendment would help in that aspect. Therefore, when we have different activities or service projects, we would not have to depend on the support of that Kiwanis Club.
Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Boston name Key Club of State Falls High School. So if any teacher in any school can have complete control over all things charter related before the charter is established, then any single teacher in the school without a Key Club charter that has any malicious motives whatsoever can do real harm by not having the real or the Key Club brand in the best interest. In other words, of the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of teachers across the nation in schools without a Key Club, this amendment will empower any single rogue teacher that does not have Key Club in its best interests.
Chairman recognizes microphone 1.
Madam President, my name is Lauren Ross. I'm the immediate past lieutenant governor from Texas, Oklahoma. I'd like to point out that this Article 5, Section 2 is not actually addressing the Kiwanis clubs. It's addressing the fact that the principals, as is, have complete control of the club, and this is allowing for clubs that are not in the schools to have a faculty advisor or someone over them that would allow them to actually function as a club. Also, the Kiwanis clubs are not a part of what this amendment is talking about at all.
As a reminder, cell phones and laptops are not permitted. Please turn off all electronic devices. Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Point of information, Robbie Whitten, Florida, past Florida District board member. Can we explain the difference between a teacher and a faculty advisor?
To appeal the decision, Joseph Martinez, R&D, Fairbanks High School. I move to appeal the decision of the chair because some of the amendments are on our cellular devices.
1 second.
You move to appeal the decision of the chair on what ruling? I don't think a ruling's been made.
She said to turn off all electronic devices, even though our phones have the amendments on them.
Actually, the standing rules for House of Delegates does not specify that all electronic devices must be turned off.
The ruling to turn off all electronic devices has been reversed.
The last statement, Madam Chairwoman, do all points of information have to be questions as stated in Robert's rules?
Yes. Chair has microphone 2.
Hello, Madam Chairperson, Holden Lee, Johannesburg Catholic High School teacher. I just want to talk about the significance of the Kiwanis organization in helping our club self-fundraise. My school in particular has had a lot of trouble self-fundraising due to school legislation, and involvement with the principal has been lacking in that realm. So I think that having the Kiwanis organization dictate a significant portion of our self-fundraising has been really beneficial for us. Thank you.
Chair recognizes microphone 1.
Thank you, Madam President. Jennifer White, International Trustee. I would just like to make a point that if we want to, as a delegation would like to include information about Kiwanis clubs, it would probably require an additional amendment, which seems like it might be past the amount of time that we have today, unless it's submitted in writing. However, as it's currently written, the addition of and or the faculty advisor gives clubs more of an option when they are trying to charter. Therefore, the principal is not the only person that they would have to go to. They have an option of the rest of the faculty at the school, so that it is not a singular person that is over. They have more options. That's all I'm saying.
Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Madam Chairwoman, I am opposed to this proposed amendment because I believe it restricts the ability of the school to determine the number of charter members according to size conditions. I believe that potentially harms the ability of rural schools to charter key clubs if they do not have enough students to charter a key club of 15 members. And I believe that we should keep that under control.
Chair recognizes microphone 1.
Addie Dirksen, immediate past Texas Oklahoma District Governor. I would like to first and foremost draw our attention back to the originally proposed amendment, which is only discussing adding the addition of the faculty advisor to the chartering process. This amendment does not address Kiwanis clubs and their involvement in the club chartering process. This is only extending the responsibility of chartering to the school principals so that school or club faculty
Time on debate has expired.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to extend debate? Hearing none, we will move to a vote. To vote on the amendment that is proposed.
I really don't know. I'm opposing those.
This adoption. Please move to your electronic voting devices and we will vote now. This is opposed. The amendment is adopted. Please be aware when you're speaking at the mic to speak slowly and loudly. This head table appears having trouble hearing people due to the echo. Thank you. We'll now move on to Amendment 13. Is there a motion to adopt the amendment?
Jennifer Hubbard, International Trustee, so moved.
Is there a second? Second. Debate? Chairperson recognizes microphone 2.
Madam President, Diego Andrades, IPCNH Distinguished Lieutenant Governor, I believe that we should not directly give unnecessary power to Kiwanis International and revoke such powers of division creation from the Kiwanis District. Given that the Kiwanis District is more knowledgeable of the fiscal and socioeconomic status of their own geographical regions, that would be necessary to create a division. Kiwanis International should not be given such a power. Only the Kiwanis District truly understands how key club divisions should be divided, and as such, we must continue to require their approval. We should not pass this amendment.
Recognizing microphone 1.
Madam President, I, Councilor Lewis, urge all of my fellow key clubbers to vote in favor of this amendment. As a distinguished district treasurer, I have control of where clubs would divide it up in districts as per my Kiwanis district bylaws. Only the key club and the key club administration knows what the key clubs are and can better suit them. So just because a Kiwanis division includes my time and color time doesn't mean that it's the best fit for a key club division to include time. I urge all of my fellow members to vote in favor of this amendment.
Point of information, does our organization recognize an inclusive or an exclusive or? So, for example, in math, you use an inclusive or, so that or is an and or, but is this saying one or the other, or is it saying both?
Yes, it is saying one other than inclusive. Chair recognizes microphone 2.
Madam President, Chofan Yu, CNH Key Club District Governor. With the standing section in the article, it does not prohibit the districts to split or realign in ways that are not aligned with the Kiwanis district. For example, the CNH Key Wins districts are aligned differently from the CNH Key Club district and the CNH Kiwanis district. So there is no purpose to add to this amendment because this can already be done. Thank you.
Microphone 1.
Madam President, Alice Gang, your international trustee. So I just want to clarify a little bit about the amendment. So why we added the part of the Kiwanis International Board is that the International Board was informed that the KYP, or other known as the Kiwanis Youth Programs Board, is not a permanent board long term. Furthermore, the Kiwanis Youth Programs Board consists of members of the Kiwanis International Board. So in this case, we're really not, as the previous individual said in the other microphone, individuals ago, we're not giving all the power to Kiwanis International Board over district jurisdiction. We're simply saying for future references when the Kiwanis Youth Programs Board is not in function, or it does not necessarily have to go to the Kiwanis International Board. Furthermore, we took out the line as approved by the sponsoring Kiwanis district, simply by making it not mandatory for a Key Club district to seek Kiwanis approval. Nonetheless, if the Key Club district decides to seek Kiwanis approval, the amendment does not prohibit that whatsoever. Thank you.
Information, Madam Chair, Alex Parker, High District Secretary. I would like to ask whether or not it's okay to address the other side because I believe it is not during debate.
I will just want to make a comment on that. Thank you. Please remember when you are asked to address the chair, that means to make eye contact, to use name, and to refrain from using any second person pronouns or referring to any other people. Please refer to arguments, not individuals. Thank you. Microphone 2.
Justin England, Pacific Northwest District Governor. I take issue with the fact that in this proposed amendment, the statement as approved by the sponsor in Kiwanis District is canceled or crossed out for two primary reasons. I would worry in the breakdown of Kiwanis family relations across divisions because the purpose of having coextensive Kiwanis and Key Club divisions is to ensure that Key Club and Kiwanis sponsorship is uniform across a specific region. Additionally, by adding the line about approval from the Kiwanis International Board, the sponsoring Kiwanis district would have better knowledge of how Key Club functions in that specific area and would make a more accurate decision if the division boundaries are appropriate.
Microphone 1.
Chairperson Joseph Martinez from RHS Key Club. So I know that in my district, especially divisions and districts don't always line up between Kiwanis and Key Club. But because of that, because how it's currently stated, the youth program board can already decide if those don't line up, and it's okay if they don't line up. This is just, as in the case of the Kiwanis International Board, of making that decision. And also, we are a youth program for Kiwanis International. It's okay if they do have some overriding authority over us, because even after we approve this, it still has to go to Kiwanis to be approved. There's a reason for that, because they are our elders and they know they live with us, and they are our sponsoring adult club.
Erica Swirsky, past district governor of the New York district. The people who know districts and divisions are the key clubbers. Governors, lieutenant governors, district administrators are the ones working with these key clubbers day in and day out, not Kiwanis boards. So by giving them that jurisdiction is giving them jurisdiction over something they know literally nothing about. Therefore, the power should stay within the key clubbers' hands where it is rightfully held.
Robbie Witten, Florida District Immediate Past Board Member. I call the question.
Is there a second? Going immediately to your vote. Please go on your electronic devices. 2:30. Debate is now closed. We'll now move to vote to adopt the amendment as written on the screen. Please go to your electronic voting devices. 2/3 majority is needed to adopt this amendment. Vote now.
It didn't reach majority.
Amendment is not adopted. Two-thirds majority is needed. 64% is less than 66.6%. We will now be moving on to amendment number 16. Is there a motion to adopt the amendment? Jennifer Harnett, International Trustee. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Point of information, Joyce from the CNH district. On the online version of the amendment, it says no such affirmative strike through tabulation. It is underlined, so tabulation replaces action instead of affirmative. But on the screen, it says tabulation replaces affirmative.
That's correct. One moment, we're fixing that on the screen. Thank you. Order.
What does tabulation mean?
Tabulation is voting, as in final votes, the result of a vote. So if you vote aye on a vote, it is affirmative tabulation. Microphone 2.
Hi, Madam President. Erica Swirsky, Media Past District Governor of the New York District. This amendment doesn't make any logical sense because it would prohibit counting ballots until the ballot count is shared with the board, but the ballots haven't been counted yet, but then they have to share the ballot count, so in summation, it doesn't really make any sense.
Microphone 2.
Ms. Boranges, Immediate Past Lieutenant Governor, CNH District. In which way does the word, a point of information, in which way does the word tabulation change the overall context of the amendment, of the current article?
I would like to direct that question to Trustee Foster Hillis. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I would like to direct that question towards the writer of the amendment. That's not you, Trustee Foster. Please say otherwise.
I mean, that was me, but it's proposed by the international board, so technically we were all together. You got it. As the writer, can I pass it to Jen?
I'm sorry, can I say that again?
Jennifer Harnett, International Trustee. If I recollect from our, we discussed this amendment at our February board meeting. The reason that we changed it to tabulation instead of affirmative action is only because that affirmative action is associated with something else in most people's minds. So we changed it to tabulation to make it less associated with affirmative action and more, which obviously it has to. But yeah, so essentially it's just so that it isn't affirmative action because a lot of people associate that with affirmative action with the US government, so we changed it to tabulation instead.
Microphone 2.
So the purpose of this amendment is to clarify and make the language easier for us to understand it, but why would we change it to a word that 90% of us don't know?
Madison Green, Texas, Oklahoma. Madam President, I move the previous question.
It is not allowed yet. We still have 2.5 minutes until that is allowed. Microphone 1.
Chairperson, current International Vice President, Hannah Navarre speaking. Once again, stating the purpose of this is to take away that association with that of race in order to focus on elections, tabulation. If anyone is uncertain, they're able to look it up online. Thank you.
Microphone 2. Microphone 2.
CNH, Madam President. Given that tabulation and action as worked by themselves are not synonyms, I believe this amendment should not be passed because it's not necessary in its current nature.
Thank you. Microphone 2.
Bob Suarez from Florida District. Madam President, I'd like to call the question.
We still have 1.5 minutes left of debate, so that is an option. Oh, I apologize. Is there any further debate? If there is no further debate, microphone 2.
Rubio from Georgia District High School. So if the moving is to change the thing to another word, and we don't know that word, but we have to look it up. So I would just change it if we only have to call point orders on the Am I making sense? Are you guys? Yeah.
Are you finished with your statement or are you continuing? Microphone 1.
I would like to make an amendment to the amendment from tabulation to counting of votes, or count of votes.
Is there a second?
Point of order, Foster Hills International Trustee, Madam Governor. This amendment to
Madam Governor.
Madam President, what did I say, Governor? That amendment has to be submitted in writing.
That point is taken.
Permission to approach the stage.
Hey, what's wrong? What does tabulate mean?
Madam President,
Yes,
am I
microphone
allowed to move for previous question at this moment?
2. Yes, you may.
I move to previous question.
Is there a second? All right, we will go right to a vote. 2/3 majority is needed for this vote to close debate. Please vote on your voting devices now.
Point of information. Would this vote cause the end of debate on the amendment to the amendment as stated?
The amendment to amendment has not been proposed or adopted yet because it was not submitted in writing when we originally.
Okay.
Polling has been closed. Debate has been closed. We will now move to a vote on the amendment as originally proposed.
I'm opposing.
Amendment number 16. 2/3 majority vote is needed to adopt this amendment. Please vote on your voting devices now. Polling is now closed. The amendment is not adopted. Order. We will now be moving on to amendment 22. Is there a motion to adopt the amendment?
Madam President, Addie Dixon, Texas Oklahoma District Governor. I move to refer Amendment 22 back to committee for the International Board for consideration.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
The reason why I would like to refer this back to committee is because this amendment is saying that the board must elect an interim governor in the absence of a district governor. However, most district boards do not meet frequently enough to allow an interim to be appointed in a specific period of time to allow the district to have a governance. Additionally, my home district of Texas, Oklahoma does not allow online elections. So in this case, our district would not be allowed to have an interim governor in between board meetings.
Individual microphone 2 to to speak? Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. To refer this amendment to the committee, a simple majority is needed. Please vote. We will vote on the referral on the voting devices
We did
now.
1 through 24, but they didn't pull 20 out block.
I'm sorry, we have to write that in. Give us 1 moment. All right,
it was
we vote on the referral now.
Robbie Whitten, Florida District Immediate Past Board Member. Point of information. Madam Chairwoman, if this amendment fails, if this refer fails, do we go back to voting on this original amendment?
Correct. Does anybody need more time? Yes. We'll extend the poll for 30 more seconds. The referral is adopted. Just to clarify, a referral means the amendment is not adopted and will be recommended to be reviewed by the Executive Committee and International Board in the upcoming year. We'll now be discussing Amendment 25. Is there a motion to pass? Yes.
Madam President, I am on the district. I'm with Private Mountain District. How could you revisit Amendment number 4?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
How could you revisit Amendment number 4?
How can we revisit Amendment number 4? We've already adopted it unanimously through our consent calendars. It is now part of the bylaws. Somebody moved to adopt Amendment 25 yet?
No.
Is there a motion to adopt Amendment 25?
International Trustee is so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Seeing none, we will go to a vote. 2/3 majority is needed for this amendment to be adopted. You see the choices on your screen and on your keypads. Vote 1 for in favor and 2 to oppose. There are 30 seconds to vote. Please vote now. 1 more.
Point privilege.
Microphone 2.
We're stopping the clock.
I'm not sure if it's just me. I asked people around me, but it seems a little cold in here. Can we get to the temperature?
Can we pause the clock on the voting, please? Order. Unfortunately, that is not in our capabilities. No worries. Yes, microphone wants to be recognized.
I would just like to order. Erica Swirsky, Media Past District Governor of the New York District. I would just like to clarify the purpose of this amendment. Is it basically saying that if I ran, hypothetically, if I ran for the endorsement of international trustee, or international president, say, and then I lost, I can't be endorsed on my district board to be run for international trustee? That makes sense? Okay.
That's not doing wrong.
Debate has been closed.
We haven't voted yet, so I'm just asking a question.
One moment. I'm sorry, did you point of order?
Well, I withdraw my motion.
Okay. Does anybody need more time to vote? No. We will 30 more seconds. Poll is closed. Microphone 2.
Hi, Danielle, Lieutenant Governor of CNH District.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. You said you would like clarification on the amendment?
Yes, please.
Discussion has been closed.
For 20. For
The amendment has been.
We have a little trouble understanding some of the speakers at the microphone here. Was the question about why we're in the process of voting?
The question was what the amendment or this action is about. Because some people have
Questions like that have to be asked, can't be asked while the vote is in progress. The amendment was displayed on the screen. No one came to the microphone.
It's for a different
The
amendment.
president declared the debate closed because no one was at the microphone to start the voting process.
Point of information, Madam President. I've been a lieutenant school district. So, I think weren't we in another discussion before we were talking about this amendment and it kind of got amended?
In regards to Amendment 25, there was a motion to pass, there was a second, and there was a pause waiting for debate. No one approached the microphone and thus debate was closed.
Thank you.
The amendment is not adopted. Microphone 2, sorry.
Trustee, I would like to recommend that, Madam President, that you summarize amendments 26, 27, 28, 29, and the resolution before we begin, or before it is put on the floor.
That point of privilege is recognized.
Thank you.
Amendment 26 is submitted by the People International Board. It would amend Article 26, Section 1, to provide that the entity proposing an amendment to the Keep-Up International bylaws may not later revise the wording of their proposal after it has been properly submitted. A board member will move adoption. Is there a motion?
International trustees so moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. The mover may begin discussion if she so pleases. Discussion is open. Microphone 1.
Robbie Wiggins, Florida District Immediate Task Board Member. This amendment really serves to prevent what happened last year when we spent 30 minutes discussing the Dual Amendment, but specifically not the actual amendment, whether or not it was allowed to be amended by the district that proposed it. So this amendment would prevent that and ensure that we have a streamlined process.
Madam President, Joseph Martinez from RHS High School, RHS Key Club. So the proposed amendment would limit the ability for us, the sponsoring district, to fix their proposed amendment if they made a mistake. And I think that even if they made a mistake and the mistake was caught here, they should still have an opportunity to fix that mistake at House of Delegates.
I want to go up.
Let me listen to what she says first. Joyce Wu, Policies, National Business and Elections Chair of the CNH District. Madam President, when we think about the fact about fixing mistakes should be fixed prior to the amendment being submitted. House of Delegates takes professional time for actually voting on finalized amendments. That is exactly why we have a procedure as to why we need to submit a paper sort of text to the board up there before any amendments, 2 amendments can even be proposed. Ultimately, what this means is that we should make this atmosphere a professional atmosphere, and the only way to do this is to have all amendments submitted to this entity going to be in its finalized state.
Microphone 2.
Do I have to state my name again? Alright, so anyways, yes, we do have to act as a professional assembly, but there are already rules set in place, like, for example, we have to submit it in writing to the international director. That rule is already set in place to prevent acting unprofessionally in this assembly. Adding this would just limit Key Club's ability to make their decisions and fix their mistakes.
Microphone 1.
Point of order. Erica Swirsky, immediate past district governor of New York. I asked this earlier and it wasn't answered. Are the sergeant at arms allowed to go to the opposite microphone to speak on a point?
As long as you have a replacement, so you gotta just go to switch over. Microphone 1. Microphone 1.
Madam President, my name is River Pease. I'm from the Michigan District. Point of information, is this amendment proposing that just the body who submits the amendment won't be able to amend their amendment, or everybody won't be able to amend the amendment?
I would like to refer that question to an international board member.
Hi, International Trustee Officer. I would be glad to answer that question. This only references the body that submits it. So let's say that the International Board submits an amendment. We are not allowed to change it, but you guys, because you didn't submit the amendment, can change it. Just like what happened with the club dues earlier in House of Delegates. Because we submitted it, we wouldn't be allowed to change it, but with the Great Alabama District, we would be allowed to change it.
Microphone 1. Oh. Microphone 2.
I thought I'm done.
You're okay. Never mind, what? Unrecognized? Microphone 1.
Erica Swirsky, immediate past district governor of the New York District. I'm in favor of this amendment as it does streamline the House of Delegates process and disallows for any chaos the day of. And additionally, amendments should be submitted in their final form, and it's not this House's responsibility to fix other people's mistakes.
Order. Microphone 2.
Eloise Belanges, immediate past Lieutenant Governor, CNH District. Point of information. If the person, if the sponsoring district, are they allowed to revise their proposed amendment as long as it adheres to the 45-day deadline?
The question will be referred to an international board member.
No, sorry, International Trustee Foster Hillis. No, because it says at the time of submission. This would follow other processes that the International Board and International staff follow, like whenever candidates submit their information, they're not allowed to change it.
Microphone 1.
The Key Club International, Madam Chairwoman, Abigail Granwood from the Rocky Mountain District, Frontier Academy Key Club.
Microphone 2.
After candidates submit their information, also after amendments are submitted, there's a 24-hour review process so that the submitted things
Excuse me, that's not a point of order, that is a point of information.
Point of information.
You must wait until that is a debate. You must wait. Microphone 1, you may continue.
Okay, Madam Chairwoman, Abigail Granwood from Frontier Academy Key Club. The International Key Club House of Delegates meets once every year, and it's critical that we use our time in the most efficient way possible. When we're here, amending amendments for hours on end can create a long, convoluted process for our House of Delegates that's not worth the time of Key Club International when the amendments aren't streamlined as they should be. However, we do meet every year, so if there's an urgent amendment to an amendment, that can be made in the following year instead of spending unnecessary time at one specific international convention worrying too much about one amendment that is not streamlined enough and is not refined enough to be presented to the House in the first place.
Thank you. Microphone 1.
Robbie Whitten, former district and media past board member. I call the question.
Your last speaker, so we do not have to vote on that. We are now voting on the amendment as proposed. 2/3 majority is needed in order for this to be adopted. Please look at your voting devices and vote now.
The body that submitted the amendment cannot make an amendment to the amendment, but the delegates of any other body can amend the amendment. That's the only problem I have with this amendment, but at the same time, they shouldn't have the opportunity to amend the amendment. I did it in favor.
Alright, polls are now closed.
I don't think anybody should be able to amend an amendment.
The amendment is adopted. We will now move on to Amendment 27. This is submitted by the Key Club International Board. It would amend Article 5, Section 3 to allow the formation of new key clubs with less than 15 members if approved by the International Director due to evidence of hardship. Is there a motion? Oh, microphone one.
Madam President, Ida Dirksen, immediate past Texas Oklahoma District Governor. I move to reconsider Amendment 25 to Article 17.
Is there a second?
The reason why I would like to reconsider the Amendment 25 is because there was one moment. Okay. Yes.
You may continue, microphone one.
Thank you. The reason why I would like to reconsider this amendment is because I believe there was a lot of confusion that we experienced after the voting process began to take place, and I believe that many voices of our delegation were unheard.
Yes, microphone two.
Robbie Whitten, immediate past Florida District Board member. Are we going to continue to, if this passes, are we going to continue debating Amendment 27, or are we going to stop debating Amendment 27 and move back to Amendment 25?
There was no motion to amend 27 yet, so we will continue. No worries. Is there any other discussion on reconsidering Amendment 25?
Point of clarification.
Yes, microphone two.
Can you explain what's going on, please?
So there was just, before there was a motion to adopt Amendment 27, there was a motion to reconsider 25. We are now voting if we are going to reconsider Amendment 25, which would then reopen discussion and allow for recount of the votes. Yes.
Earlier, a delegate asked to reconsider another amendment, and that was not allowed. So why would this be allowed?
Because the amendment from earlier was amendment number 4, which was part of the consent calendar, and when all of that was adopted, that was part of the bylaws. However, since this was an amendment that is still being discussed within the House of Delegates, it will not become part of the bylaws until after this House of Delegates. Thank you.
She maybe didn't state that as clearly as possible, but she certainly stated it correctly. An adopted amendment to the bylaws may not be reconsidered. A defeated amendment to the bylaws is subject to reconsideration if the Assembly decides to do so.
Any other discussion on any other discussion on the reconsideration of Amendment 25?
May I please recognize Madam
Yes, microphone 2.
Madam President, Alice Gang, International Trustee, point of information, can you just briefly summarize Amendment 25 for the memory of the delegation? Thank you.
Amendment 25 is submitted by the Key Club International Board. It would amend Article 17, Section 3, to eliminate the double jeopardy for people running for Key Club International Board positions. Specifically, candidates shall not be endorsed by their district board for Key Club International office if they ran for another endorsement position at their district convention. Is there any further discussion on reconsidering Amendment number 25? Seeing no discussion, we will vote on reconsideration. A simple majority is needed to reconsider the amendment. Please vote on your devices now.
Point of information. They need a simple majority. Robbie Whitten, immediate past Florida District Board member. Why is it only 50% to reconsider the amendment versus the 2/3 required to pass it?
Robert's Rules of Order. Yes. The reconsideration fails. There is a quick announcement before we move to our regular business. House of Delegates is scheduled to end at 5. Due to time constraints regarding our sessions, our convention ending, and our curfew as Key Club International members, we cannot go past much past that time. So please keep that in mind as we continue with debate and adoption. Thank you.
Point of information.
Yes.
Can you just say what time it is?
It's currently 4:31.
I've been here for 2.5 hours.
Order.
Oh my god.
21st Amendment.
Order. Given that we haven't even approached some of the most controversial propositions, what is the likelihood that will actually get done?
That depends on how the delegation proceeds.
This delegate doesn't believe that's possible.
Point of information, phosphorus international trustee, Madam President. How long are we allowed to go over? You said.
There's an estimate of a half hour, but we are trying to be mindful of everybody's dinner plans as well as plans to get ready for closing session. Microphone one.
Point of information, is there a way that we can table all further amendments until we get to the resolution and then talk more about the amendments after the resolution? Because I feel
So
like
let's talk about the resolution now and then continue with business.
Yes,
All right, we may make a motion to consider the resolution now. It doesn't need 2/3 vote. Is that so?
So
Is there a second? There's no debate on this. Regarding.
Jennifer Harden, International Trustee. If we move the resolution to, if we don't have enough time to discuss amendments, what happens?
Those amendments are not adopted. All right, the meeting is closed. We will be voting on who are considering the resolution now. Please give our staff 1 moment to type that up. And you may vote on your devices now. We will now be addressing the resolution.
Have we voted on Amendment 27 yet?
We did not vote on Amendment 27.
Did we enter voting procedure?
No, we did not. We did not motion nor second. Nor vote. Microphone number 1. I'm sorry, 2.
Madam President, Alice Gaines, National Trustee, point of information. Is there any process that we can take right now to prevent any further extension of time on debate for this resolution, other amendments, in order to maintain that we get to as many amendments as possible?
No, there is not. To clarify, the question was, right now we have 10 minutes of debate. If we run out, in theory, somebody could propose to extend that debate. Is there a way to prevent that? No, there is not.
Are we now allowed to vote? Point of information, Madam President. Is there no way to essentially motion to disallow extension of time for debate?
If the delegation votes no.
You could do it with a 2/3 vote to suspend the rules, but it only takes a 1/3 vote to keep from extending debate. So it doesn't make sense.
Microphone number 2.
Madam President, Addie Richardson, Texas Oklahoma Union Past District Governor. I move to table all amendments that we do not cover during this House until next international convention.
No.
Can you please list specific amendments?
She's trying to get amendments that are not covered.
1 moment.
For next year's icon.
Table is one of the, are you moving to postpone them to the 2020 convention? Okay, that will be in order when the resolution, right now we're under consideration of resolution, but when we're done with the resolution, that will be in order.
Point of clarification.
Yes.
Is the motion not allowed because there is not a current motion on the table?
That's what we're discussing.
Okay.
So your motion is in order, or your point is in order.
May I clarify my motion? Or the intent behind my motion?
She's intelligent. If it is seconded, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, you may clarify.
The reason why I would like to postpone these amendments is because if they do not get covered during this House, they disappear completely. This would allow them to be considered by next year's delegation.
Order. Yes, so specific items must be postponed. You cannot postpone generally. So as of right now, the motion is to generally postpone amendments. Specific ones do need to be cited. You can amend that motion if you'd like.
Point of information.
Yes, microphone one.
If we agree to suspend these motions, will we not have time? If we have time to go to them, will we not be able to vote on them in this House of Delegates?
If you postpone them, you will not. If you cite specific ones. Microphone two.
Madam President. Israel Aluma, Lieutenant Governor of this Georgia District. May I propose to postpone all discussion until the resolution has been reached?
Excuse me, order. We are currently on discussion of voting for the motion that was just passed regarding postponing amendments till the next convention. We must close debate and vote before we move on to resolution. Microphone one.
Bill, immediate pass to Senate Governor of the District. I believe we definitely need to address Amendment 27 because it would lower the amount of required members for new clubs to be formed. If you postpone this for a year, clubs will be denied the opportunity to join people.
Currently, we are just debating whether or not we should postpone the amendments, not discussing whether or not we will discuss them or not. We're just allowing this in case we run out of time so that we can then discuss them at a later date and these amendments do not disappear from consideration.
Excuse me, postponing amendments in a conditional sense, as in if you do not have time and will postpone this amendment, is not in order. Specific amendments must be cited in order to be in order, and they cannot be conditional. Microphone one.
Order Rubio from Georgia District High School. Right now, we are just wasting time for both the amendment and the resolution.
Motion. Madam President, can you send my motion and then make a new motion?
Yes, microphone two. Is your motion?
There is no motion. I rescinded my motion.
Your motion is rescinded. Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution regarding the Kiko Pledge?
Madam President.
Microphone two.
I, also International Trustee, move to accept the resolution number 1, please.
Is there a second? Debate, microphone one.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Speak first. Can I go there?
I apologize. You may speak, does not matter from which microphone, unless they're objective. You may speak.
Madam President, I am also International Trustee. I wish for all my delegates to vote for the resolution number 1 to be sent to the Kiwanis Youth Programs Board, and I will speak on the first change in the resolution. I think that we can all agree that Key Club is made up of diverse members from my hometown of Lawton, Oklahoma, to Nebraska, to the Caribbean, and even clubs in Hungary. Inclusiveness is one of our core values, so why should our pledge alienate our members? Our current pledge does so and enforces religious beliefs on every member that recites the pledge. The changes to the pledge would allow us to be more open, inclusive to everyone's worldviews, not just the ones that believe in God. I strongly urge that this resolution pass.
Order. You may continue.
Point of order. Can this resolution be
That's not a point of order, is a question. Microphone two.
Madam President, Joseph Martinez, RHS, R&D District. So, as stated in the Key Club Pledge, to serve my nation and God, and to combat all forces which tend to undermine these institutions. And I quote, right now, the way it's proposed is that right now, we're supposed to be combating the very forces within our own Key Club that are trying to undermine the institutions previously stated in the pledge. The institutions are my nation and God. And although I know God is sometimes considered a I'm inclusive. Many religions have a God. It's not just related to Christianity. It also includes Muslims.
No, it doesn't.
Other denominations of denominations of religion. Key Club is inclusive. And I believe that we should remain inclusive by keeping God and combat in the place.
Oh, really?
Thank you.
In order to end on time, we must remain quiet and put things along. Thank you.
Is there a way to vote on those two changes separately?
You may make an amendment to remove one of them and then propose. Yes, there is. Thank you.
Point of clarification. Brandon Dorchester, International Trustee. Madam President, while adopting this resolution, will we be adopting the words that are on the screen or that are in our booklet? Because in our booklet it says "the world," and on the screen it says "world."
It would be as listed on screen.
Nation and world. That doesn't sound correct.
My nation and world.
Specific nation and world.
It would be as on screen as that is what was originally proposed. Please forgive me, I believe you were now on microphone 2. Yes.
On one as microphone two just spoke.
Thank you. Microphone 1.
Robert Witten, immediate past Florida District Board member. I move to amend the amendment by striking out the word resist and leaving the word combat.
Yes.
Is there a second? Debate.
So the word resist is very passive. When you think of it in the context of the pledge, it sounds like you're going to stop the forces, but only if they act first. Whereas the word combat is actively trying to prevent against the forces from ever taking effect in the first place.
International Trustee Foster Hillis. The reason why we changed the word combat to resist is because combat is commonly thought of as a negative and very hurtful and not a very peaceful word. The word resist is more peaceful. Because we are an inclusive organization, we believe as the International Board that this makes us less violent. Thank you.
Microphone 1. Microphone 1.
I was gonna argue against the fact of including the section mentioning God, not this new amendment.
We are currently discussing the amendment to the amendment, which would be to replace combat with resist, to keep combat.
Hi, Gibson, Texas, Oklahoma, and East Yes, I believe that we should keep combat in our pledge.
Yes.
We need to realize that as a society, we are entering an extremely difficult climate. And we need to be prepared to not only resist the things that are coming at us and undermining our core values as individuals, we need to be ready to fight against them.
You are about to speak or willing to speak on the amendment to the resolution. If that is not the case, please sit down. Thank you. Microphone 2.
Can I call for a divide? Point of information. How do I divide a question into 2 points?
You have to close debate on this.
I understand.
Essentially, this amendment is equivalent to dividing the question. There are 2 words being changed, and you're discussing now and moving on whether to change the bottom line. A yes vote on this amendment would restore the pledge.
You're allowed to sit on the floor when you're in line.
So it's the same. Then what's left will be only the change of God in the world.
No, the people sitting are waiting.
Microphone 1.
Yes, hi, Madam President, your resource immediate past District Governor. I would like to bring up that resist is a soft word, and we as an organization are not soft. We have done incredible things on this earth, and the reality is, we do not resist disease, you combat disease. You do not resist
those who are trying to push you down, you combat them, and therefore this is an appropriate word that should remain as is.
Microphone 2.
Meeting past Texas, Oklahoma District Governor. Madam President, I move the previous question.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's no debate on this. Yep, so this will go right to a vote. This is voting to close debate. We do need 2/3. Oh, I'm so sorry. Apologies. This is to adopt the amendment to the resolution. This is to close debate. I apologize.
Point of information.
Yes.
Is this going to close the debate while we wait for a district past district board member? Is this going to close debate on both sections of the amendment or just this amendment?
Close debate on the amendment. This is not the amendment, it's a resolution.
Amendment to the resolution?
Correct.
Thank you.
So we will now be voting on to close the debate on the amendment. Please vote on your voting devices once in a moment. Yes, come on.
This is closing debate for comment and resist.
According to the screen, it says amendment to the resolution, while I believe that we just discussed ending the discussion.
This is closing on the top.
Debate, sorry, it says amendment.
We will redo the vote because that confusion. Thank you.
Backstage, can you put previous questions slide on the screen, please? Previous question. That's the motion before us, previous question.
So the wording is correct on that slide. It may be confusing. What you will see, it'll say close debate on the black bar, and below it, it'll say amend the resolution. So we are currently voting to close debate on the amendment to the resolution. The black bar at the top is the main question we are voting on, and any text in the gray area provides context. So give us one moment and we'll get this back up. You may now vote. Please vote on your voting devices now. Yes, microphone 2.
All right, so this says again.
Order.
Thank you. It says amendment on the resolution again on the screen.
Correct, and at the top it says close debate.
Oh, sorry.
I know it's confusing, it's alright. Does anyone need more time? Please do not say no, I'm only looking for people saying yes. Does anyone need more time? Perfect. Polling is closed. Please have this. We will now vote on the amendment to the resolution. You can see what the amendment would be on screen. A yes vote would reinstate combat in the line on the pledge. A no vote would keep resist. Regarding the amendment to the resolution, please vote on your voting devices now. Yes.
It says to relate to the chair prior motions, such as a point of order or request for information, etc. If someone is lying is making a motion, do they have priority or do they have to wait until the speaker in front of them has spoken? Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, sorry. So it says that it says, okay, I'll read the rule. It says, a member of the Sergeant at Arms Committee shall be positioned at each microphone to relay to the chair priority motions such as a point of order or request for information, etc. So my question is, if like someone who is in line has to make a motion, do they cut to the front and have priority, or do they have to wait in line?
If they want to make a motion, they don't have priority. If they want to, the priority motions are point of order, point of information, point of privilege.
Okay.
Those are the only ones that can jump the line.
Okay, thank you.
Microphone 2, do you have a statement? No. Polls are now closed. The amendment is adopted. We are now back on the resolution. We are out of time for debate. We will now move to a vote. Unless there is a motion to extend debate. Please say your name.
Sophia Daly, Madam President. Mama Sen. I move to extend debate time 5, 10 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second!
Any discussion on extending the debate? Order.
But hypothetically, if we can debate the exhaustive before we extend the time.
I'm sorry, this is elaborating your question.
Like, so she's, if it's proposing it goes to 10 minutes, and
Yes.
can we end debate before that?
I'm sorry, yes, I understand. Yes, I can. Discussion. There's no discussion on extending the debate. We're now.
Point of information, also as international trustee, Madam President, can you just please reiterate what we're talking about right now? We're talking about extending debate on the gone world change. Is that
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, there is no debate on it. Is it a point of order? Okay, microphone 2.
Madam President, Jennifer Harden, International Trustee. From talking to other delegates at this convention, I believe that...
Is this a debate on extending debate? There is no debate on extending debate. We'll now vote on extending debate by 10 minutes. Please vote on your voting devices now. Polls is now closed.
Polls are closed. Which majority is required?
Debate will not be extended. A supermajority is needed. We will now vote on the
Is that
original
simply
debate
point of order?
on the resolution as amended.
Isn't that, Addie, isn't that a simple majority? Isn't that a simple majority?
A simple majority is needed for this amendment to pass. I will give all delegates a moment to sit down. Please vote on your voting devices now.
I don't think it's gonna pass. I don't think it's gonna pass. As much as I wanted to.
Excuse me, order. We voted to not extend debate.
You said that was a simple majority to extend the debate, correct?
No, supermajority.
2/3.
I'm sorry, yes, that's very similar. Exactly. Yes, debate was not extended. Anybody who needs more time, please signify by saying aye. All right.
Yeah.
Polls is now closed. A simple majority is needed for the president. The first time ever.
She is shook. If she's shook, I'm shook.
Excuse me, order.
Girl,
We will now be moving on to discussion, to consideration of Amendment 27.
we changed the pledges.
Is there a motion to adopt? Order. Yes, microphone 2.
Jennifer Harden, International Trustee, so moved.
Is there a second? Debate. I'm sorry, discussion. Microphone 2.
Madam Chairwoman, response to effective on II.
Order.
I move to refer the motion back to committee. I believe that a requirement of 11 may be too difficult for schools with smaller student bodies, and therefore could discourage small schools from chartering clubs. Given our issue with membership, we should not be restricting any school's ability to charter a club, and should welcome all clubs regardless of charter membership. I think I was on the wrong side.
Max, I gotta
So please clarify just your motion again.
I would like to refer the motion back to committee.
Governors. Yeah.
Yeah, second.
Second.
We'll now be voting on our devices. Please turn to
I feel like if anything, it would be easier.
order.
Is there anyone who can clarify that the second part of the amendment does cover indeed what the previous argument was discussing?
We are only talking about referral right now because the motion was to refer to committee.
Point of information once again, is there a debate regarding referral?
That's what we are currently in.
Okay, thank you.
Microphone 2.
Point of information.
Yes.
I have a debate point. Can I speak now?
Regarding referral?
No.
Alright, not yet then. Is there any debate regarding referral? Microphone 2.
President, Fall Service International Trustee, I do not believe that we should refer this to committee for the simple fact that our very, very first ski club in 1925 had 11 members.
T.
Excuse me, please direct your arguments towards the chair.
Excuse me, Madam President. Our very first ski club in
And towards referral.
I'm sorry.
Is this regarding referral?
Yes,
You may continue, I apologize.
It's fine. Our very first ski club back in 1925 at Sacramento High School, they had 11 members, so why should any other first ski club have more than the original? Additionally,
You are discussing the motion, not the referral.
I'm trying to discuss why we should not refer this to committee.
Proceed.
Additionally, if a club like one of mine in Southwest does not even have 15 or 11 members in the
You
school.
are discussing the motion of 11 students. We are discussing if we refer to
That's
committee.
fine.
Microphone 1.
Lena Oswald, Morgan High School Key Club. The referral, the motion to refer to the committee later was because there are schools who may not be able to achieve the 11 members, not because we think that the school should have more.
Microphone 2.
Madam President, Alice Gay, International Trustee, I believe, excuse me, I'm sorry, I cannot refer to individual. But regarding to the debate on the referral, I'm against referral on the basis that the second sentence of the proposed amendment will essentially allows for what the referral was initially intended to do, which is the reconsideration of the number. So the second part already says that if a club has less than 11 students, it would allow for the international director to review and waive these requirements. Therefore, I do not believe the referral back to committee is necessary since the already proposed amendment covers that basis. Microphone 1.
Madam Chairwoman, it's already difficult to entice some clubs to, or some schools who try to make a club. I think adding more hoops for them to jump through in regards to membership just further discourages them from doing so.
Microphone 2.
Madam President, Alex Green with the High School CNH Ski Club District. So I don't think we should refer this back to committee because if we do the clubs within the next service year, we'll not be able to start a club. They have less than 15. And regarding schools with less bodies, with less students, then it will be harder to start a club with 15 rather than 11.
Microphone 1. I'm sorry, you already spoke to Ms. I may be mistaken, you're not spoken about the referral.
No, I forgot what I was going to say.
Yes.
Motion to call the question.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alright, we will now be voting on electronic devices. Please give Dr. 1 moment.
I'm voting in favor.
We are currently voting to refer this amendment to. We are currently voting to close the debate on referral.
Oh, yeah.
Voting is now ended. Debate is ended. We will now vote on whether or not to refer the amendment to committee. Simple majority is needed for this. Please vote on your devices now. The motion to refer does not pass.
Yes.
We are now back on voting for amendment 27. Discussion is now open.
Robin Britton, Indian House Florida District Board Member, wishing to call the question on this amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
We will now be voting on that question. Third point of question. 2/3 majority is needed for to vote. So we are voting on whether or not to close the debate on this amendment. One moment, display this on the screen. Please vote on your devices now.
Oh yeah, we're on 27.
The amendment, oh, I'm so sorry. Debate is now closed. We will now be voting on the amendment. We will be voting on amendment 27, which is shown above, as written. Please vote on your devices now. Voting is now closed.
Foster really snapped.
I know.
Oh no, here we go. This is doing
And I want to correct it. And I'll read from Roberts. In a case where more than a quarterly time interval will elapse between meetings, for example, an annual convention of delegates, a question cannot be postponed beyond the end of the present session. So we either handle these today or reintroduce them next year.
No, this needs to be handled now. I don't want to reintroduce it.
Madam Chair, I move to table Amendment 28 and move on to Amendment 29 to be fair and inclusive of the district that proposed 29.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion to table is only in order to set aside current business temporarily to take up something more urgent. Are you wanting to take up 29 first? Is that what you're suggesting? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Like we did with the resolution, you can make a motion to consider amendment 29 now. That'll do the same thing.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll be voting on your devices. We are voting on whether or not to. Yes, microphone 2.
International trustee, is there no debate of this motion?
No, there's not. Okay. It is amending the agenda, therefore no debate. It'll be a 2/3 majority for the vote. We're voting on whether or not to discuss Amendment 29 before Amendment 28. Please give us 1 moment to get this up on screen. Vote on your devices now. Polling is now closed.
Yes.
We will now be considering Amendment 29.
Here we go.
Motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion to adopt Amendment 29?
Sullivan and be it passed district governor of the Carolinas District, I so move.
Is there a second?
Madam Chair.
Order.
Madam Chair, I would like to offer you an analogy. In Key Club, if a club submits an entry for the traditional scrapbook contest and loses, they are not automatically entered into the running for non-traditional scrapbook because they are completely different competitions. In keeping with this is how we believe our elections should be run. We believe that each potential candidate in any election should choose the office for which they are most fit to serve and stick with it, win or lose. Today, we are here to discuss the process of dual nomination and its role in our organization. This is a discussion of principle and should help the delegates present today decide what is truly the right practice in our organization. Therefore, I implore you to please listen carefully as we identify our concerns with the institution. First, candidates that are duly nominated have not been endorsed by their districts to run for the position of international trustee. The endorsement of a candidate by their home district for the position they are seeking is the single most important quality of a candidate to run for that position and a requirement for all international trustee candidates. Therefore, without this crucial endorsement, there is inequity in qualifying requirements. Second, unsuccessful duly nominated candidates impact the opportunity for trustee candidates who have been properly endorsed and then nominated. The House of Delegates trustee ballot only allows for up to 14 names if the losing president and vice president candidates are granted dual nomination. Up to 2 candidates for trustee are automatically ruled out. This procedure tends to confer a process advantageous for the duly nominated candidates, which is unfair to the trustee candidates knocked off the ballot. And finally, unsuccessful candidates for president or vice president did not run on a platform designed for trustee, nor did they caucus running as a trustee candidate. Their vision and goals are incompatible with the role played by an international trustee. We are aiming to make our election process consistent and fair for all.
Candidates must make a choice and stick with it. The issue of dual nomination is not going to go away unless we act on it this afternoon and vote in favor of this amendment.
Hello, Madam President. I am Foster Hillis, an international trustee, and I am a proud duly nominated candidate. I wish to speak to you today to inform how dual nomination actually works. It is not a malicious position-stealing quirk in our guidebook as the other, but it ensures that the International Board has members that are qualified and prepared to lead our great organization. I have 3 points for you today that I wish to touch on, and by the end, I hope you see that how dual nomination works helps all Key Clubbers, like our alumni wish when they pass this measure. First, dual nomination ensures qualified candidates take office. Dual nomination provides you and our voting delegates the most number of options when choosing offices, when it is a simple principle that when there's more competition, there are also better candidates. When I saw my position of International Vice President last year, I not only prepared for that position, but I also prepared for President and Trustee in the rare case that I might be needed in a different capacity. That is what last year's nomination conference saw in fellow candidate and now International Vice President, Hannah Navarre. They duly nominated us because they saw that we were capable of taking either office. Now, last year, we were the only duly nominated, not you, the presidential candidate. I won't speak on behalf of the other candidates, but the conference saw that both candidates weren't prepared to take either office, so they didn't elect to duly nominate the candidate. That's how it works. This takes me to my second argument. Dual nomination is safe and protected by members at our nomination conference. Like I said, dual nomination can work in a number of ways. Currently, it has 3 different options. Both the president and vice president candidates can be duly nominated. Either the president and vice president candidates can be nominated, and neither the president and vice president candidates can be duly nominated. It is a decision, that is not taken lightly by the conference, and much debate is to be had. The conference protects us as Key Clubbers. Additionally, candidates can turn down the dual nomination if they are not prepared for the other office. Finally, point 3, we should not silence our nomination conference, which is made up of some of the highest positions and representatives of our districts, district governors. So they represent their district. They are elected and they represent their district. It is in the sole discretion of them on how to vote in the conference. So why should we muzzle them? It just doesn't make sense. I, Foster Hillis, a duly nominated trustee, hope that you have taken my points into consideration and vote against the previously failed amendment to ensure that we are able to elect the most qualified candidates to the highest positions of Key Club International. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Colby Loveless, Governor of the Carolinas Key Club District. The issue we are discussing today does not come down to the validity and effectiveness of elected duly nominated candidates on a case-by-case basis. It does not matter if a duly nominated candidate is a good or bad trustee. That is not the argument we are making here today. This is an argument of principle, and what you believe is most fair and just elections process. Just like in any other election, candidates should be expected to run for the position which they are best fit for, and serve and stick with their choice until the end, win or lose.
Microphone 2.
Good afternoon, Madam President Emily Rice. My name is Hannah Navarre, and I currently serve as your International Vice President. 2 years ago, I ran for International Trustee in San Antonio, Texas. For those of you who don't know, I lost. In November of 2018, I was appointed as an International Trustee for the Minnesota, Dakotas, Missouri, Arkansas, and Ohio districts. The International Board voted to fill a vacancy with a first runner-up candidate. If dual nomination did not exist in San Antonio for the President and Vice President, I would have won. And yet, I still stand before you today opposing the amendment to get rid of dual nomination. Throughout this past year, Trustee Foster Hillis has been a vital asset to this board and multiple of our initiatives. The idea that a candidate is not amply prepared for serving as a trustee because they were running for an executive position is incorrect. For example, Jared Becca was an immediate past trustee that ran for vice president and became a trustee due to dual nomination. He served insufficiently as a trustee and performed a disservice to his districts, including the Carolinas district, as the Carolinas stated during last year's House of Delegates. However, that is not because he did not want to be on the international board as a trustee, or because he was not amply prepared. It is because he did not have good work ethic, and it was at the fault of the delegation for voting him into office. Conversely, I was appointed to the board 4 months into the year, received not even a phone call for training, and I served well. If you have concerns about my performance as a trustee, received by district governors in which I served. Clearly, if I had not served well, I would not have become the international vice president. A student who is able to serve in multiple capacities should be given the right. Madam President, I speak now to urge my peers to understand the role they play in the history of our organization. Will we be the students who take away the voice of future generations because some of us have had a bad experience compared to many ones that have been great successes? Thank you.
Team.
Madam President, Alice Gay, International Trustee. Once again, I want to re-emphasize our point here. We are not questioning or undermining the validity of past trustees who have been duly nominated. As a current trustee who has worked with a trustee that has been duly nominated, I have completely agreed that Foster Hillis has been an addition to the International Board. However, I've also been doing a lot of other things. As the 2017-2018 kindergarten in Minnesota Dakota's district, my district had their trustee resign that year, who was also a duly nominated trustee. Therefore, I want to point out that the validity, we're not questioning the validity of the candidates because history has shown that that's negligible when it comes to dual nomination. There's both bad and good trustees that come out of the process. But what we're rather saying is that the process itself is unfair on principle. President and vice president candidates get significant more face time with the delegation. Therefore, it puts them at an unfair advantage compared to other trustee candidates. For example, they get to make international president and vice president candidates get to make a speech at the beginning at opening session. They also get an additional speech at House of Delegates if they choose to accept the nomination and give their regular trustee speech. The additional 2 speeches, in addition to the lesser quantity of candidates per those positions, give those candidates a great advantage over regular trustee candidates. Furthermore, I just want to emphasize that we ask our elected government officials to run for a single position. We ask our club officers to run for a single position. We ask our contest competitors to enter a single award without the safety net of dropping to a different award. I just want to emphasize once again for the pro side of this amendment that we're not talking about validity or questioning the validity of any past or current trustees, but we ask the delegation to consider whether or not the process is fair under our democratic system. Thank you.
Order, microphone 2.
Chair, my name is Ashley Song. I'm in the Kentucky, Tennessee district. I'm the district governor. Madam Chair, today we are granted a choice to uphold dual nomination proceedings or abolish them. But in considering this choice, we have ignored the one that we already have, which is the choice to grant a candidate dual nomination in the first place. The intent of dual nomination is to allow a candidate who is qualified.
That is time on debate. If we choose to extend debate, we can only extend to 5:30, which is 5 minutes and 30 seconds from now. Is there a motion to extend debate?
No.
You cannot say no, there's no motion. There's no motion or not.
Robbie Whitten, Florida District Board of Trustees, past board member, so moved.
Is there a second?
Oh my
Point
god.
of information, Madam President. 1 second, let me pull it up. J. Hundred Plan is immediate past governor of the Louisiana, Mississippi, West Tennessee district. Is there a bylaw in the Key Club International Guidebook and/or Robert's Rule of Order that allows the Key Club International Director and/or President to cut short the House of Delegates session before all properly submitted amendments have been discussed and voted on?
This is more of a scheduling piece as it relates to various districts' tours, our closing sessions. That's where we're at with that right now.
As provided by what bylaw and/or rule?
As provided by the International Director.
Director, no authority to do that.
What did she say?
Consider moving to Dr. 6. We have to stop at 6 p.m.
coverage.
Tanisha, International Trustee, I move to extend the debate.
By how long?
You said 5 minutes was the max or 10?
10. That is no longer applicable.
By 10 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll be voting on our electronic devices.
Like, it's just so annoying. Like, we know how it turns out every time.
Live streaming? Live streaming?
No, I'm actually taking a video of it. That's what I did last year.
Are you gonna put it on YouTube? Are you gonna do that next?
Polling is closed. Order, please. Order. One moment, we are checking to see if there's still on quorum. For facilities development at the Order, mic number 2.
Madam President, International Trustee Foster, can I please approach the desk?
You may. So there's
What I'm going to suggest is a call for a quorum in the middle of voting can't be asked. So we're going to finish the vote on Amendment 29, which you just ordered. And then we'll confirm how many people are in the House, because it's very close to a quorum. But we're not sure exactly. Really not in the middle of the voting. Unless it has to do with the voting itself on Amendment 29. Thank you.
yes,
Are we voting to extend the time and not on the end right now?
correct.
Thank you.
Well, I apologize. No, extending debate was defeated. That was our prior votes. We are now voting to adopt Amendment 29. Please vote on your voting devices now.
We opposing.
Order next.
Opposing.
The voting period.
Get it?
Voting is now closed.
Come on. Please don't pass. Please.
The amendment is not adopted. Oh, yes, the amendment is not adopted.
That's all she wrote.
Y'all can stay mad.
That is all.
Order.
The words. No worries.
Sis
President,
I call Skills International Trustee move to accept amendment number 28.
Is there a second?
Second.
Debate. Discussion. I apologize.
Hello everyone, my name is Foster, or Madam President, I'm very sorry, Madam President, can I have my microphone on? It's not on.
Your microphone is not on?
Yeah, now it's on, thank you. Madam President, International Trustee Foster is also co-chair of the Committee on Elections. We have been acting on these bylaws and it has been proved a great success. I wish that all of my peers vote to accept amendment number 28 in order to make sure that our elections chairs and our elections process are fair and are run by people that have been in the actual elections process. Thank you very much.
Microphone 2?
Justin England, Pacific Northwest District Governor. I would like to present my argument as to why amendment number 28 should not pass. The Elections Committee is not essential to the functions of the International Convention when elections could be handled by the Executive Committee. It's quite frankly inappropriate to take any powers away from the International Director and put it in the hands of any current or graduated key clubber who could have a conflict of interest. For example, if international candidates are current international board members.
It's unprofessional because sensitive information about candidates has been discussed outside of the committee due to poor handling of elections and a lack of confidentiality. Information on candidates that is sensitive has been relayed to district governors, international board members, and other district board members that should not have been handled outside of the elections committee.
Microphone 1.
I'm Dirk Intermediate Pass District Governor, Texas, Oklahoma District. In order to ensure maximum fairness of elections, allowing more individuals who have had experience with elections to increasing the accountability and professionalism of our elections is essential to our organizations and the effectiveness of elections themselves. Increasing the elections committee to be passed from interns to an actual committee of our organization allows for us as members to actually govern our own elections.
Britt Dorchester, International Trustee. Madam President, I think that it's important to recognize that in this proposed amendment, that the International Director does in fact approve of the members who are joining the committee, and also the International Director is also on the election committee proposed in this amendment. Thank you.
Microphone 2.
Adding on to a point that was previously stated, the Elections Committee has not efficiently or effectively handled the elections this year because sensitive information about candidates have been released to people who are not on the Elections Committee.
What information?
Microphone 1.
Kind of information has any election materials been released? As a committee chairman, I have not heard any of those such allegations. I believe that was a lie. Can you please clarify? Can you please clarify, Madam Chairwoman? President.
We are unable to verify.
Point of information, may I refer to a previous argument if individuals are left out? Yes, okay. Madam President, Alice Gay, International Trustee, I believe the previous argument stated that the power should be returned back to the Executive Committee. I would like to point out that the Executive Committee comprises of the International President, International Vice President, and 3 International Trustees voted on or appointed at the very beginning of the year. Therefore, if power is returned to the Executive Committee on the matters of elections, it wouldn't really change anything in terms of international board members having information, since the current Committee on Elections for this year also consists of international board members. Thank you.
Point of information, Brandon Arnold, Immediate Past District Secretary of PNW Key Club. Is the candidate mentorship program that we're as candidates put into a part of officially part of the executive the elections committee?
What does that have to do with the amendment?
Members who participate in the candidates mentorship program are not official members of the elections committee. There is some overlap over members who participate in the program and members who participate in the elections committee, but they're not defined as the same thing.
All right. So did the trustees that were part of that receive information on candidates that was from the elections committee? Because that could be what was being referred to.
I would like to refer that question to a member on the elections committee.
Okay, so point of information. There did people that were candidates that were teamed with the trustees. Did the trustees receive information, including campaign flyers or information on the candidates?
That question shall be referred to a member of the elections committee.
This is Paul Shirley and Grace Eisen, co-chairs of the elections committee. No, they were actually not given any information. The only information they were given, I believe, their email or the phone number.
All the trustees received the candidates booklet at the same time it was posted in any other people member would have been able to access.
Additionally, on our documents, we made sure that committee members only gave generic advice, not generic advice given to each member. No committee members or even mentors were allowed to see the election booklet except for myself, Grace, and
Microphone 1.
Caitlin Cirillo, International Vice President-elect from New Jersey District. As someone who's directly affected by this amendment, we should adopt it because it may be because the efficiency of its function and the elections process is easier to follow for all candidates and make the elections process overall more efficient. So I just want everyone to consider that, please. Thank you.
Microphone 2.
Jennifer Harden, International Trustee. I move that we call the previous question.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll be voting on our devices. We need a 2/3 majority to close debate. Please wait 1 moment as we get.
None of my personal information was released, so
Wait a moment as it's shown on the screen.
just my phone number, my email.
We're waiting for it to go on space. Yes, but we will be voting in a moment here.
Oh, I'm having a blast. I'm also like talking.
Alright, please vote on your devices now. Voting is closed. Debate has ended. We will now vote on amendment, 28. We'll now be voting on amendment 28.
You're in favor.
Please vote on your devices now. A 2/3 majority is needed in order for this to be adopted. Voting is closed. The amendment passes.
Woo! We passed it. We just passed
Order.
it.
Before we close, I wish to thank you all for your time in this House of Delegates. You have held yourself with professionalism, patience, and persistence, and that is something to be admired. For once, I will not order you if you cheer for yourselves. Thank you for your time and your hard work, and thank you for the candidates.
They called it.
Just waiting for me to adjourn. Thank you.